Hi, I'm Kylie, just another Army vet, and today I'm reacting to a video about the whole Canada situation. This is Khalistan Row. Jaishankar responds to Trudeau's allegations at the UNGA. Vantage with Palki Sharma from the channel Firstpost. This is going to be a quick video because I have to get ready to go on a trip, but I really did want to get this out for you guys. Let's get to it.
Trudeau versus India. It's going from bad to worse. Khalistanis are targeting Indian missions in Canada. They're holding violent protests. Guess who's issued a travel advisory? The government of Canada. It says Canadians in India must exercise caution. Against what? Protests, apparently. There are none on the streets yet in India. So what's the basis of this assessment? Social media posts, apparently. They fear protests. And this is incredible. So much fuss about a perceived threat when Indians in Canada face an actual security threat. The pictures tell the story. This happened yesterday in multiple Canadian cities. Khalistanis targeted Indian missions. In Toronto, they burnt the Indian flag. In Ottawa, they gathered outside the Indian High Commission. The organizers are a group called Sikhs for Justice, SFJ.
I think Indians in Canada should be issued the travel advisory. That's just me, though.
It's a terrorist group. It is ramping up its efforts. It has launched a campaign. Do you know what it's called? Death to India. That's what they call their campaign, Death to India. Guess who's leading this campaign? This man, Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, a designated terrorist in India. His Indian properties were seized over the weekend, and this is Pannu's response. More threats. He says Indian missions in Canada are quote-unquote terror houses. And Pannu wants Ottawa to shut them down. This is an obvious security threat. Has Justin Trudeau condemned it? Has he made any commitment to keeping Indian missions safe? As of this evening, he hasn't spoken about it. All that Canada has done is put some barricades and deploy some security personnel outside Indian missions. Last week, New Delhi had escalated the matter. It was concerned about the security of Indian missions and diplomats. They've been receiving security threats, so much so that they're not in a position to discharge their duties anymore, and that is the reason why visa services to Canadians have been cancelled. But 5 days later, more threats are being made. We have some unconfirmed reports. They say Khalistanis are threatening the Hindu community in Canada. Some temples in Canada have been vandalized. So clearly, Ottawa has paid no heed to India's concerns and shown no interest to change course. All eyes are now on India's next move. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is in New York. He addressed the United Nations General Assembly today. Jaishankar did not name Canada, but he took another dig at Trudeau. He said, political convenience should not determine response to terrorism. Listen in.
The days when a few nations set the agenda and expected others to fall in line are over. But for all the talk, it is still a few nations who shape the agenda and seek to define the norms. This cannot go on indefinitely, nor will it go unchallenged. And for a start, that means ensuring that rule makers do not subjugate rule takers. After all, rules will work only when they apply equally to all.
People need to listen to this man, not just Indians, the UN, Canada. He is a very smart person that I think needs to be heard more.
The power of markets should not be utilized to steer food and energy from the needy to the wealthy. Nor must we countenance that political convenience determines responses to terrorism, extremism, and violence. Similarly, respect for territorial integrity and non-interference in internal affairs cannot be exercises in cherry-picking. When reality departs from the rhetoric, we must have the courage to call it out.
Political convenience should not determine response to terrorism. That is a direct message to Canada. Back in New Delhi, India is intensifying pressure on Khalistanis. It is going after them. And the manhunt has gone global. Today, the Interpol issued a red corner notice. This is against a man called Karanveer Singh. He's a Khalistani, a member of Babbar Khalsa International. Just like Sikhs for Justice, Babbar Khalsa is a terrorist group. It is one of the oldest pro-Khalistan organizations in existence. It has carried out many attacks. The most prominent one was the bombing of Air India 182, better known as the Kanishka bombing. It happened in 1985. Babbar Khalsa was behind it. They had planted a bomb on the plane. The plane blew up mid-air. This attack killed 329 people on board. More than 260 of them were Canadians. More than 260 victims were Canadians. 24 were Indians. That was a dark period. The terrorist group has weakened considerably since, but it is still active on foreign shores in countries like the US and Canada and regions like the European Union. Babbar Khalsa remains active. And Karanveer Singh is one of its members. He's wanted in India and he faces some serious charges like criminal conspiracy, murder, and raising funds for terrorist acts. And where is this man right now? Most likely in Pakistan. India wants to catch him, hence the red corner notice. This notice is a form of request. 195 countries are Interpol members. All of them get a red corner notice when it's issued. Pakistan is on this list. This notice basically asks all the member countries to detain the person in question. This one, like I said, is against a Babbar Khalsa member. Babbar Khalsa has links with a group called the Khalistan Tiger Force, KTF. This too is a terror outfit, and it was run by Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He led the KTF. He's the same man who was killed in June this year, and Canada is picking a fight with India over the death of this terrorist. Last week, Trudeau said in his parliament that there's an Indian hand behind Nijjar's death. India denied the charge, called it absurd, and has been demanding proof. Canada refuses to share proof. Instead, it has resorted to selective leaks, and it's counting on its allies to fire on its behalf. Yesterday, the US State Department spoke about this, and they seem to be parroting Canada's lines. Listen to this.
We are deeply concerned by the allegations referenced by Prime Minister Trudeau. We remain in close contact with our Canadian partners, as the Secretary said on Friday. We believe it's critical that Canada's investigation proceed and that the perpetrators be brought to justice. And we have publicly and privately urged the Indian government to cooperate in the Canadian investigation.
Join the investigation. On what grounds? India says Canada has not shared anything on the probe, and Sri Lanka has backed India's position. The Lankan foreign minister has called Trudeau's allegations outrageous. His name is Ali Sabri. He said, some of the terrorists have found safe haven in Canada. The Canadian Prime Minister has this way of just coming out with some outrageous allegations without any supporting proof.
Yeah, we have always suffered, and some of the terrorists have found safe haven in Canada. Canadian Prime Minister has this way of just coming out with some outrageous allegations without any supporting proof. The same thing they did for Sri Lanka.
It all comes back to Justin Trudeau and his train wreck of foreign policy. In just 1 week, he has managed to alienate not just India, but a host of nations and leaders.
This is what I think. Unless you have actual proof and evidence, then stop accusing India of doing this. And guess what? Regardless if India is responsible for the death of this terrorist on Canadian soil, it doesn't matter. He was a terrorist. It is like if Pakistan got upset at the United States for killing Osama bin Laden right down the street from their military academy. That's what this is equivalent to. Stop being so political. I think we need to move on from this stupid situation. What do you guys think? And by the way, this video here is what YouTube thinks you'd enjoy most.